Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into sports betting picks. Specifically, we're looking at some analysis from Puddin's POP.
Right. And even if, betting isn't your thing, it's pretty interesting to see how these expert predictions actually get made.
Exactly. What's the process behind it? Puddin's POP, they put out daily picks, and they seem to base them on, expert calls, stats, performance tracking, that sort of thing.
Yeah, the goal is informed decisions, and they're pretty transparent about how they do it.
So our mission, let's say, for this deep dive is to unpack a couple of their specific picks for today, May 9th. They have a strong play and a good play.
We want to dig into the why behind them.
Yeah.
What factors are they weighing? Are there any stats that maybe jump out?
Let's start with that strong play. It's the Padres money line, 9-184 against the Rockies.
Okay, so money line, that's just picking the winner straight up, and -184. Those odds tell you the Padres are pretty heavily favored.
Yeah, Puddin's POP gives it like a 77% probability.
Yeah.
And a 90 out of 100 confidence score. That's high.
Very high. So you ask, why so confident?
Right. What's driving that?
Well, a huge piece is pitching. The Padres have an excellent team ERA earned run average, just 3.01. That's really good.
Okay, so overall team pitching is solid. What about today's specific matchup?
Right, so today you've got the Padres Vasquez. His ERA is 3.90, decent, but he's up against the Rockies' Senzatella, who's struggling a bit with a 5.50 ERA.
Wow, okay, that's a pretty big difference on the mound.
It is, and then you look at the other side, the offense. The Rockies, well, they're not scoring much, only about 3.11 runs per game.
Oof. Doesn't give their pitchers much room for error.
Exactly. And like we said, the Rockies team pitching isn't great either. Their overall ERA is up at 5.47. So you stack the stats side by side, Padres look better.
But hang on, this game's at Coors Field, right? Isn't that like the ultimate hitter's park? Doesn't that help the Rockies?
It definitely helps hitters. Yeah, that's always a factor at Coors. But the analysis here, it suggests the Padres pitching advantage is just too significant, even in that environment.
So the thinking is the pitching gap outweighs the park effect.
Basically, yeah. That's why the odds are next 184. It reflects that perceived safety, You got to risk more to win less because it seems like a more probable outcome.
Gotcha. Okay, let's switch gears to their good play. This one is the Phillies money line, -122 against the Guardians.
Right. Phillies -122. Lower odds than the Padres game. Puddin's POP gives this a 59% probability, confidence score of 80 out of 100. Still solid, but labeled good, not strong.
So what's the logic here? Why is this considered good value?
Okay, so here they lean on some more advanced metrics, like WOBA, weighted on-base average. It's a way to capture overall offensive value. The Phillies have a strong WOBA of .330.
Okay, so good offense. What else?
Their pitching looks good too, but through a different lens. XWOBA, or expected weighted on-base average. It tries to predict performance based on contact quality, strikeouts, walks. Theirs is .304, which is quite strong for pitching.
So Philly's hitting well and expected to pitch well based on underlying stuff. How do the Guardians measure up?
Guardians' offense is, kind of average.
Yeah.
And their pitching XWOBA is weaker. It's .346. So Phillies seem to have an edge both ways, according to these stats.
And the specific pitchers today.
Phillies have Nola starting. He's experienced, generally reliable. Guardians have Williams. Advantage likely to Nola there.
And it's a ballpark matter here, too, like with Coors.
It does, yeah. Progressive Field in Cleveland, it tends to be more pitcher-friendly, so that environment actually plays into the Phillies' strength, which is their pitching.
Ah, interesting. So the park helps the stronger pitching team here.
Exactly. So while the win probability isn't sky high like the Padres game, the combination of factors at those Menich 122 odds makes it, a good play in terms of value.
Man, it really is a lot to juggle. Stats, matchups, park factors. Now, how has Puddin's BOP actually been doing overall with these? Do they track that?
Oh, yeah, they provide their season results. For context, their strong plays are currently 9 wins, 3 losses. Good plays are 7 wins, 4 losses.
Okay, so winning more often than not on both counts.
Yeah, overall they're 16-7. And in terms of bankroll, if you hypothetically bet consistently, they show a gain of about 4.3%.
Right, so it gives you a sense of their track record. So, look, wrapping this up, whether you actually bet or not, diving into these picks, it really shows how much goes into expert sports analysis.
Totally. It's this mix of traditional stats like ERA, these newer metrics like WOBA and XWOBA, looking at who's pitching against whom, and even where they're playing.
And for you listening, even if you don't follow betting odds day to day, understanding these underlying factors just gives you a way, way deeper appreciation for the game. for the strategy involved.
Absolutely. It's about assessing probabilities using all the available data.
Yeah. And, it kind of makes you think, how often are similar kinds of detailed comparisons and statistical deep dives being used everywhere else? Not just sports, but in like business or finance or, well, tons of fields, right? To figure out probabilities and make smarter choices.
That's a great point. Something to definitely chew on. How we quantify risk and potential everywhere.
For sure. Well, that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for tuning in.